again. You remember? How far is it from here to the island of Åland? 340 nautical miles. It just takes a day if you have one of the boats down there at the port. After that, I'm using show. This is going to be a dark presentation of statistics because this is accountability. What is it? There's a lot of definitions, but here's one. I think it's okay because it's from Wikipedia. The obligation of an individual or organization to account for its activities, responsibilities. Let's rearrange this. Do you need this one? Later on we will. So I don't have to. The obligation of an individual or organization to account for its activities, accept responsibility for them, and to disclose the results in a transparent manner. It also includes the responsibility for money or other entrusted property. So don't give money to people who don't believe in accountability. I'm going to talk about 4 accountabilities to assess both academic objectives and social and civic objectives in schools. Focus both on high marks and pass in all subjects for all students. Results related to the intake of pupils and their socioeconomic background. And lastly, inflated marks. Mark levels in relation to national tests or other sources. If we fix that, we have a more secure accountability at schools. So we start with academic and social civic objectives. In all the PISA tests, we only show the results in math, English, and some other subjects today. There are, of course, some information about how students feel and stuff like that, but that's not part of the accountability tests that are disputed and discussed and that has impacts on policy. The social objectives, keywords for the work with social objectives in Swedish schools are individual freedom, integrity, equality, pupils' creative ability, and their critical awareness. Civic objectives are building a culture for citizenship, beneficial not only for politicians and the political system, but also for the society as a whole. That's the mission. The Swedish National Agency for Education has developed a support instrument for schools called BRUK. If you translate it to English, it will be Assessment Results, Evaluation and Quality. And they have a part of that that's called Norms, Values and Personal Development in 8 dimensions. Basic democratic values, communication, respect for human differences, self-esteem and self-consciousness, equality, initiative and responsibility, and of course critical evaluation and problem solving and creative capacity is also part of the personal development. And in the instrument, the BRUK has developed questions to teachers to use in the quality assessment process. But we transform these questions to students. You have to change the wording, you have to take away some of the questions, but we constructed a questionnaire and went out to students to ask them to assess whether the school they are in are doing these 8 things. You understand? And then we get another way of assessing schools. So we have, sorry, should be a possibility to this point. Is that pointer online? Well, you can see there are academic objectives up there and social and civic objectives down there, and either you are a weak or a strong school. So in a project where we had 24 schools, we divided those when we have assessed academic and social and civic objectives into schools that were proficient in both, in neither of them, and only social and civic or only academic. And we had 8 schools in only social We had 5 schools that did both, 4 schools that did none of those proficiently enough, and 7 schools doing only academic. So this is a way to assess results in schools, counting in the social and civic objectives. We go to academic marks and pass. These are schools, 1410 schools, to 2011 in Sweden. All these rings are, balls are results. And we have pass down here and marks up here. And pass from 0 to 100%. 100% means that every children in school has a pass in all subjects, 16 subjects. Here we have a mark score from 0 to 320. And of course it's a correlation between those two. Because if you pass, you raise the, if also didn't pass, you raise the marks. But if you put in some relations between those, we have to move down here and up here. So they're on the same page when it comes to pass, but on different places when it comes to marks. And here we have the same relation between schools on marks, but on pass they differ. Why do they do that? Why don't they stick to the correlation line? This is a problem that some schools, they emphasize high marks, and for the students that are proficient enough to have high marks, it's a good idea. But for the other students, they don't pass because schools are not interested enough in helping them. So this is a real accountability problem, and we have differences between schools in Sweden doing the other and the marks or the pass. This is another picture of the same thing. When it comes to socioeconomic background, here are the Stockholm schools. The green ones have parents with high education, and the red ones have parents with low education, and the green with the orange ones in the middle. And these are a lot of years from 1998 to 2011. And you see they still stay on their level. And this is a table showing schools that are very good at doing what is expected. And we have all these data on how many boys, how many immigrants, and the parents' mean educational level. And if you have few boys, few immigrants, and high educational level of the parents, you should be expected to use more when it comes to marks. And if you do that, you do more than you would be expected for these school A to get a plus, and for the others to get a minus. So this is another accountability problem. You don't do what you're expected to do. And when it comes to inflation on marks, we have a discrepancy between national test results and marks in the 9th school year in mathematics in 1,371 Swedish schools, 2013. And here you see the percentage of students that get a raise or reduction. So here to the left, some schools give a raise in relation to the test for 80% of the students, and some schools do the other way around. So we have a problem here. Children that have a higher grade than the test would say to go to the upper secondary school or college, and it drops. And for children who have a lower grade than the mark, lower mark than the test, they often raise their marks when they go to the Swedish gymnasium. So, my recommendation is to increase school ability to form an organization where equity and learning characterizes their accountability. The school leaders should be trained to develop a systematic quality assessment process that includes an assessment of school results both concerning academic and social and civic objectives, and present ways to improve the parts of the school mission that is underdeveloped. Second, the assessment of school results both concerning marks and pass, and present strategies to close the gap between results and support students with different readiness to learn. Third is the assessment of the school result concerning marks inflation through comparing marks with other evaluations tests, for instance. And find ways to develop the teacher's ability to mark the pupils correctly in relation to their knowledge. And fourthly, an assessment of the school results concerning the way the school performs in relation to expectations, and develop strategies to live up to what is expected. So, thank you.